As many of us know, next year, 2025, is going to be the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, one of the most beloved, if not the most beloved Star Wars movie, at least by the younger generation, ever made. And because of that, a lot of people, myself included, are expecting LEGO to make some cool sets to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the film. So in this video, I'm going to go over my predictions of some sets that I think we could see next year. Now, for your information, I'm going to try to be as realistic as possible because, I mean, it is LEGO that we're dealing with here. They very, very rarely make sets that were directly requested from the fanbase. And on top of that, there's always a chance that they're literally just going to completely ignore the 20th anniversary of the film and not even make any sets from the movie next year at all. But that's literally the worst case scenario. Let's hope that doesn't happen and they actually make some sets from the movie. But anyways, so for this video, I have taken all of the most requested and fan-favorited and most wanted sets, and I've put them into a list and sorted them into 4 categories based on how likely they are to be made, being most likely, maybe, unlikely, and very unlikely. Because like I said again, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible and go off of what LEGO has done in the past. Starting off with most likely, I only have 4 sets in this category because if LEGO does actually acknowledge the 20th anniversary of the film, they're probably going to make around the same number of sets that they did this year for the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. But anyways, starting off with most likely, this one might surprise you, but I actually have an ARC 170. I know I was just saying that LEGO very rarely makes sets directly requested by the fans, and an ARC 170 remake is probably the most wanted set from the fanbase at the moment, but there's a very specific reason that I put it in most likely, and that's because last year in Solid Brick Studios' interview with the LEGO Star Wars design team, someone asked a question about sets that the fans really want to be remade, like an MTT, an AT-OT dropship, and an ARC 170, and the designers didn't give out much detail, but one of them did say that they are very aware that fans want those sets to be remade. So basically, unlike popular belief, the LEGO Star Wars design team is actually aware of what we want, they just never give it to us. But I do think that because next year is the 20th anniversary of Episode 3, we actually could see an ARC 170 playset. I have absolutely no idea how many pieces it would have, what minifigures it would have, or how much it would cost. I imagine it'd maybe be around $80 to $100, probably closer to $100, but other than that, all I know is that we actually might get a new ARC 170 next year after what will have been 15 years. Anyways, continuing on with most likely, next up I have UCS Jedi Interceptors or maybe a playset, but most likely UCS, and I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but I do think there's actually a possibility for this, that we could possibly get a dueling UCS set of Anakin and Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptors at the same scale of the UCS Delta 7 from 2010, so it would be at the price point of $240 and include 2 roughly $100 to $120 builds, which I would be completely fine with. I think this would look absolutely incredible to have 2 UCS size models dueling on display like this. I mean, if they are going to do a UCS set for May 4th from this movie, I don't really think any other set would work better than this. And if they don't do them as a UCS set, I'm pretty sure we'd see at least one of them as a playset, just because they're arguably the most iconic ships from the movie. Continuing on with sets that I think are most likely to be made, next up I actually have an Anakin versus Obi-Wan diorama. And the reason is because, I mean, again, if they acknowledge the 20th anniversary of the film and they actually make sets from it, they're going to most likely want to do a diorama set, and I don't think any other diorama from this movie would work better than Anakin versus Obi-Wan. I imagine it'd be around $50 to $70 with an exclusive Obi-Wan and an exclusive Anakin, and be a recreation of any of the various iconic moments from their fight scene. But again, like I said, I think they're probably going to want to do a diorama next year, and this one is what makes the most sense to me at least. Anyways, continuing on to the last set in this most likely to be made category, I have Darth Vader's transformation, and really the only reason I put this in most likely is because I can imagine LEGO remaking this set as a nod back to the original from 2005, and it would probably be similar in size and build to the one that we got in 2017, and have some Easter eggs that nod back to the original, kind of like the GWP for the Phantom Menace did this year. Like the ARC 170, I really can't give you a good piece count or size or maybe price point. Well, actually, I take that back. I think it would probably be around $40, but other than that, I don't know what this set would be like. I can just see LEGO remaking it as a nod back to the original. Next up, we have sets that will maybe be made. These are sets that I think have a possibility of coming out next year, but I'm just not entirely 100% confident in it actually happening. And first up, I have a new turbo tank. And the reason I had this in maybe is because, I mean, obviously a turbo tank is a very iconic and fan-favorited vehicle from the movie. However, those factors alone don't always convince LEGO to make a set just because because it's fan favorited. And the best example of this is that they did not give us an MTT for the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, which pretty much has the same amount of hype for the Phantom Menace that a turbo tank does for Revenge of the Sith. So because we didn't get an MTT this year for the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, I'm not 100% confident that we'll see a turbo tank next year for the 20th anniversary of episode 3. But hey, it is popular enough, so there always is a chance. Anyways, next up I have a new Kashyyyk Troopers battle pack, and honestly this is under the maybe category for the same reason that the turbo tank is, because obviously a Kashyyyk battle pack is super popular and fans would really want it to be remade because not everyone has the Kashyyyk Troopers, but again, that's just not always enough to push LEGO over the edge. And on top of that, I feel like LEGO would think they would need to make a completely new Kashyyyk Trooper design, which I mean I and many other people would obviously be open to, but I just feel like LEGO wouldn't want to do that, so they would just not give it to us. Anyways, next up I have a new Vulture Droid and a new Tri-Droid, and the reason I put these in the maybe category is because LEGO is just not making as many small-scale starfighters as they used to. I mean, back in the early to mid-2010s, we would get like 3 or 4 of these small-scale $25–$30 starfighters a year, but now it seems like they're only giving us 1 or 2 a year. I mean, last year we just got the Pirate Snubfighter, which everyone forgot about, and the Yoda's Jedi Starfighter, which everyone also forgot about. And this year we're getting Jedi Bob Starfighter in August, but that's really it. So because LEGO was just kind of drifting away from these small-scale $25 to $40 starfighters, I'm just not really 100% confident that we're gonna see a Vulture Droid or a Tri-Droid next year. But I mean, after all, I did put them in the maybe category because I do think they are popular enough and they would sell well as sets. But again, since LEGO is drifting away from small starfighters, I feel like there's a slim chance they would probably just ignore these and choose something else to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the film. And then lastly, for the maybe category, I have a new AT-AP and a new droid gunship. And really the same exact thing that I said about the Kashyyyk Troopers battle pack and the turbo tank applies to these two sets. I mean, again, these are both pretty popular and fan-favorited sets that people would really like to see again. However, like I keep on saying, that just is not always enough to push LEGO over the edge. Kashyyyk was arguably the most iconic battle from Revenge of the Sith, so you think we would get sets from it. However, Naboo was also the most iconic and only battle in the Phantom Menace, and for the 25th anniversary of that movie this year, they literally only gave us 1 Naboo set, and it was a GWP, not even a normal set. So again, after seeing what they did with the Phantom Menace this year, I'm just going to automatically assume they're gonna do pretty much the same for episode 3. Anyways, the next category I have is unlikely, the sets that I'm like 90% sure are almost completely off the table. And these are the sets that a lot of people really want, and I'm probably going to kind of upset a lot of people here, but it's just what I think is gonna happen. I think LEGO is aware of what we want, but they just for some reason don't really care, or there's other reasons, I don't know. But anyways, first up I have Palpatine's arrest, and the reason for this is because I just simply don't see LEGO going out of their way to remake all of these exclusive Jedi again. I mean, obviously Anakin, Palpatine, and Mace Windu would be fine, although I just don't see LEGO making a new Sassy Tin, a new Kit Fisto, or a new Agent Kolar. And literally the main reasons for that is just because recently LEGO has been pretty lazy and pretty cheap, and I just don't think they'll go out of their way to make new molds and new prints for these Jedi, simple as that. Anyways, next up I have General Grievous's chase, specifically Boga. I do think that you could throw General Grievous's wheelbike on its own in the maybe category. However, Boga, the big lizard that Obi-Wan rides, is just very unlikely in my opinion. Again, I just don't see LEGO going out of their way to make a new mold or design for this creature. They did it back in 2005 when they were a bit more ambitious and cared a bit more about the theme, but today in 2024, well, what will be 2025, I just don't really see them going out of their way to do this. And then next up, I have any Separatist cruisers that were seen in the opening scene of the Battle of Coruscant. We got a mini-scale Invisible Hand this year, so that's off the table, and I also think a Lucre Hulk or a Unicifant are off the table as well, and it's literally just because LEGO has not made Separatist sets in years besides the recent GWP, and going off how they've been the past few years, I just don't really see them making another Separatist set anytime soon, especially a Separatist cruiser. I mean, really the only play-scale Separatist cruiser we've ever gotten was the Malevolence back in 2012, which already kind of showed throughout the 2010s that they just did not really have any interest in Separatist cruisers, and then they doubled down these past few years by just not really having much interest in Separatist vehicles in general. And then lastly for this category, I have a set that really disappoints me to put in unlikely, but I just have to be realistic, and that's an AT-OT with 327th Troopers and Commander Bly. I really just do not see LEGO making a standalone AT-OT AT-AT as a set. I can see the dropship coming back in some form years from now in the future. However, an AT-OT, especially as a standalone, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the 2009 model was kind of a one and done, and especially not one with Commander Bly and 327th Troopers. I mean, we've been wanting Commander Bly for years, and at some point, I think we just got to give up and kind of realize that LEGO's probably just not going to make him. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, and I honestly really hope I'm wrong. I mean, I would love for LEGO to make a Commander Bly next year, but I mean, I'm just trying to be as logical and as realistic as possible, and I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. And then as I continue to get more negative and burst people's bubbles, the last category we have is very unlikely, and I mean very unlikely, and I only have one set in this category, and it's a UTAT with Galactic Marines. Just like with Commander Bly, I think there's a point in time where we're just gonna have to let clone troopers and some vehicles go and just realize that LEGO is probably just never gonna make them. Again, I would love to be wrong, and I'm telling you, I would love to be wrong because I want this as a LEGO set so bad, and I think Galactic Marines are awesome, but it's been so long and LEGO has never even considered making them or even attempted to make them. I just don't ever really see it happening, and on top of that, they were only in one scene, and they obviously resemble Imperial Snowtroopers, so the general public, which is LEGO's main target audience, would not even recognize these guys as clone troopers. They would recognize them as some sort of weird stormtrooper, I imagine. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be a crazy hype set for the diehard fanbase, myself included, but for the general public, I just don't think they would recognize this vehicle or these troopers. And not even just next year for the 20th anniversary of the movie, I genuinely think that LEGO will probably never make a UTAT ever, or Galactic Marines ever. Although I'll say this right now, if LEGO does make a UTAT next year, or any type of rumors about a UTAT that are actually official come out, I will immediately do a live stream face reveal. I mean, that's how much I'm willing to bet that this will never happen, and especially not next year.